When we think about an ERP, we often picture sales, purchase, inventory, or even manufacturing. But at the core of all those activities, there is one common denominator, the numbers that tell the real story. I'm Raphaël Moreau, business analyst and accounting expert here at Odoo, and today we're going to see how easy it is to have your business operation being synchronized with the accounting inside of Odoo. So if you have any question, please scan this QR code to access the pad and write down your question. We'll review them at the end of the session. So accounting is not just a back office function, it's the beating heart of your business. Every invoice, payments, stock movement, project hour eventually flow into the accounting. And when finance is integrated with the rest, it transforms from a compliance obligation into a powerful decision-making tool. So in this session, we'll explore why accounting is not just a random module inside of Odoo, but actually the central nervous system that connects with all the others. So the focus of today is going to be about all the apps or most of the apps that are connected to the accounting, so manufacturing, sales, e-commerce, purchase, point of sales, and inventory. We'll explore how Odoo brings all together real-time financial data, automation, and usability to empower businesses, whether they are small startups or global enterprises. So our business case of today is about Royal Elixir. So Royal Elixir is a microbrewery located in Anderlecht that not only produce beers but sell it on its website and to its local bar. They are currently switching and implementing Odoo and switching from multiple IT systems because they are fed up of losing time re-encoding their data from one software to another. So they mainly choose Odoo because it's simple to use. The whole environment is integrated and synchronized, and because they are also now compliant to the e-invoicing regulation in Europe. So I propose you to jump right now in Royal Elixir database to see how all their business operations are done currently, and then how all of those are directly synchronized with the accounting. So now I'll switch directly to Royal Elixir website, and I'm connected to the website as Jean-Daniel, a French customer that wants to purchase a few kegs of beer to throw a little party at home. So basically I will just choose 2 kegs of brown beer, and I'll also have a few kegs of blonde beer as well. So here let's take 5 and add them to the cart. Now I think that my order is quite okay, so I'll just review my card and proceed to the checkout. So I'm okay with this, let's check out. And since it's not the first time that I'm ordering something on the website, all my personal data are encoded on the contact form, but just to add my phone number here, and then we are okay to go. So let's confirm it. Okay, here we have the standard delivery, which is free. Okay, very nice. Now let's confirm the order. And here I will pay by card. So thanks to the Stripe integration between Odoo's website and Odoo accounting, I can now just type my card information and proceed to the payment. Okay, so let's add the security code. That's good, and now we can proceed to the payment. And in just a few seconds, now the payment has been processed, and we have the reference. Of the order, which is S00157. So let's copy that, and now let's jump back. In the backend of the Odoo database of Royal Elixir. So now that we have done the e-commerce order, let's see what happened in the sales module. So here I opened the module, I got the list of all the sale orders that have been encoded in the database, and we can see Jean-Daniel's order just there. So let's open it. Okay, we see all Jean Daniel's information, the payment term, he already paid, so that's good. And the product, so we've got the 2 kegs of brown beer here, and that's good because here we can see on the little green graph that actually the products are in stock. If we click there, we can see that we have 2 quantities that are reserved for this sale order, so that's perfect. But what's not very nice, it is that for the blonde beer kegs, Jean Daniel ordered 5, but there are actually no quantities that are reserved for the sales, and even worse, we have no future availability for this product, so we must replenish it absolutely, otherwise we won't be able to fulfill this order. So let's go directly in the inventory module and let's check the replenishment table to see how we can fulfill our needs. So here I'm on my inventory module. I can open this menu item and arrive directly in my replenishment table. So from my replenishment table, I can see that a reordering rule has been triggered for the kegs of blonde beers. All right, and I can currently see that I have no quantity on hand anymore. Okay, and that we forecast -5 quantities, meaning that actually I have nothing in stock right now and I have to fulfill a sales of 5 quantities. So my forecast is at -5. We can see here in the routing that actually the preferred route is manufacturing, meaning that we will do an internal production to fulfill the stock, to top up the stock, rather than to do a purchase to a supplier. There we can see the minimum and the maximum level of stock that we have defined. So here the maximum level is 15 kegs, meaning that here, if I want to top up my stock to arrive to a maximum level of 15 quantities, well, based on my forecast, I need to order 20 quantities of kegs. So looks good to me. I will just proceed to the order now on clicking on the little truck icon. And there, automatically, a message appears telling me that a manufacturing order has been automatically generated. Okay, that's good, but we can see here as well that we have 3 other reordering rules that have been triggered. So let's see what are those. So basically, I can see here that those reordering rules are about products that are part of my production. Those are the components for my manufacturing order, and basically I don't have them in stock as well, so I need to reorder them as well, so I can do now my production. I can see here that the preferred route is to buy, meaning that here we won't do a manufacturing order to resupply them, but we will rather do a purchase order to our supplier. So let's select all 3 products and let's order those. And now we can see that the replenishment table is empty, meaning that we have nothing else to trigger now. So now let's first see what happened in the purchase module, because I need first to receive my component to do my production actually. So here, by going on my purchase module, we can see that we have here 1 purchase order that is in blue, meaning that it's not completed yet, it hasn't been confirmed, it's in the request for quotation status. So let's open it, and yes, this is the purchase order related to the product that I need for my production. So the vendor is Malterie des Ardennes. The information comes directly from the product page, the price of the product as well. The expected arrival is today. That's perfect because I really need those urgently to do my production. Okay, I think we are good now, so we can confirm the order. And now, at the order confirmation, you can see that the status has now been validated. It came from a request for quotation to a purchase order, and we have seen here a little truck icon appeared, which means that now the reception in our inventory is ready. So let's click there, and here we can see, okay, we have the receipt that is in a ready status, and here we see on the product line the demand for the quantities. So the initial demand, and here the quantity that will be treated by the reception. So by default, Odoo takes the demanded quantity as the quantity that will be received. We won't change that here because here we receive the entire order. So now I can just validate my receipt, and then my products are now in my stock. So now I can move forward and directly launch my production. So let's go back in the main menu and open the manufacturing module to see how I can do my production of blonde beer kegs. So there I can open my operations and my manufacturing order. We can see here all the manufacturing order that needs to be completed. There is only one about my blonde beer kegs. That's perfect, 20 kegs to produce. And now all the components, all the products here are now available. I can directly start my production. So to launch the fabrication, we will jump rather onto the work orders. And basically the work orders are the operation that needs to be completed to finish, to get my product. So there I will start the machine, which is in the to-do status. So let's click there. All right, I'll assign my employee Raphael to this production, and let's say that he will work 1,200 minutes. That's good. I can now mark it as done and save it. Now the status of this operation is finished, meaning that I can go to the next one, which is the fermenting operation. And there again, I will ask Raphael to manage it, and this time 1,800 minutes for this operation. Let's mark it as done, save it, and now the production can be considered finished. All right, so we can see here on our product lines that Odoo will consume the initial demand of product, so we won't change that either. And now we can finish the production and click on produce all. The status of my manufacturing order is now done. We can see the quantity here is about 20 kegs. That's perfect. And just before jumping back on our sales module and completing the delivery of our products, let's just take a few minutes to interest ourselves in the cost structure of the manufactured articles. For this, I'll click on the Overview Smart button there, and here we can see the full breakdown, the full cost structure of my article. So basically, for the 20 kegs, it cost me a little bit less than 3,000 euros. All right, which gives me a unit cost of 147 euros. So each time we can see the unit cost of each article there, multiplied by the quantity there, it gives me total cost of each component. And then afterward, what's also very interesting, it is the cost of our operation. So basically we spent 20 hours in the mashing work center and 30 hours in the fermenting work center as well. So each work center has an indirect cost of 10 euros that can be considered as the depreciation, the usability of the machine and the work centers. All right, and then, so this is the first two lines here. And then afterward, we can see the employee cost at an hourly rate of 35 euros. So here again, the hourly cost of, so the total employee workforce, will be input in the valuation of our article. So meaning that leading us to a real cost of 2,947 euros for 20 kegs of beer. Okay, this is clear to me. Now I can proceed to the delivery of my article. So let's jump back in the sales module and open Jean-Daniel deliveries. And there we can see now that the graph for blonde beer is in green. That's perfect. Let's open the delivery on clicking on the truck icon. The delivery is ready. Both of my components are available. That's good. I can just validate, and now the articles are out of my stock and delivered to my customer's location. Okay, that's good. So now that we have completed our website sales, that we have done the purchase, the manufacturing, let's do a little bit of a post session to fulfill the 30 customers that are at our bar for the moment. For this, I'll open my point of sales module and open the register there. All right, and just entering into my point of sales. So here, I just have to write down the amount of cash I do have in my register for the moment before going forward. And now here, let's complete a few orders. So the first table does order 2 blonde beer, 2 Aperol Spritz, and 1 Coke and 1 Fanta. That's good. I can directly click there to launch the delivery, the serving of these drinks to the first table. That's good. And now I can proceed to the payment, and the customer decided to pay by card. I can just click there and now validate the order. The payment is successful. The ticket here will be printed. That's perfect. Okay, I can now proceed to a next order. So here, table number 3, they will order 2 brown beer and 2 bottles of water, 1 sparkling and 1 still bottle of water. Here again, I can launch the order and proceed to the payment. This time they will pay by cash. That's perfect. Very easy. I can click on validate and proceed to the next order. So now, table number 6, they are ordering 3 blonde beers and 2 Aperol Spritz as well. No, actually, they are just ordering 3 blonde beers and 2 bottles of water. Alright, so here I can launch again the order, proceed to the payment, and they pay by card again. Let's validate that, and now we are good. So actually, the customer from the first order, they come back to me and ask me an invoice, because actually they were on a team building, so they need an invoice to give that, to give it to their company directly. That's okay. I can directly go on my orders and filters on the paid ones. All right, and just select the first order here and press on the invoice button. For this, to complete this, I need first to select a customer. That's okay. And here, basically, they told me they work for Deleuze, so I can type Deleuze in my customer list. It appears there, and now the invoice will be automatically printed and downloaded on my computer. So we will just get back on this on a few minutes. Now, basically, my day is finished, so I can close my register and see what happened in my accounting. So I just close my register there. Here, Odoo brings me a small recap of all the payments that have been registered on my point of sales. So basically, now I should have 214 euros of cash with the orders and the opening amount, and here the card payment that is there. All right, and I now have to input the amount of money that have been that is currently on my register. So I can either count manually and type the amount manually there, or I can ask Odoo to copy paste what he has registered. That's all right. Let's do that, and let's now close the register. All right, that's perfect. We have finished our day. So just to recap a little bit what we have done for the moment. So we have first launched a website order. This website order has generated automatically a sale order. To fulfill the delivery of the sale order, we have done a purchase order to actually supply the raw material for our production. And when we have received those components, we have been doing our manufacturing order to produce our blonde beer kegs, and then afterward we have done a few orders on our point of sales. So next we'll see the accounting impact of all those operations. So first we'll review the closing point of sale session in terms of accounting. We will review the purchase and the sales invoice. We will do a few bank reconciliation. We will see the stock impact of all those logistic and manufacturing operations, and then we will do the closing of our taxes. So, big agenda there. Let's go back on Royal Elixir database. So I'll go back onto the back end. Let's go to the orders and review the point of sale session that we've just closed. And let's review the journal items. So here, only five journal entries have been generated. So let's review the first one. This one is just actually about accounting the sales that we have done. So we can see the VAT, the revenue, and three customers entries. You might see that we actually use a dedicated customer account for the point of sales. Alright, so here we have first entry for accounting the sales that have been paid by card. Here this is the sales that have been paid by cash. And here we have a third line, this time at the credit of the customer account, because we will bring this amount in the original customer account that is debited on the invoice. Since we have generated an invoice from our POS, the customer account is debited on this invoice, so we don't need to double encode this. That's why we credit 31 euros there. I'll open now the invoice entry. There you'll see all 4 revenues entries. Here on the 700 account, the VAT and the customer account, 31 euros at the debit of the original customer account. Okay, so basically we have transited 31 euros from the point of sale account to the original customer account. So we can see this entry there, where we transfer 31 euros from one customer to another. And then we have finally the 2 payment entries. Okay, we have one payment entry for all the cash payment that have been registered. So we book that under an intermediary account that we will then reconcile on our bank, and we have one cash entry here as well, directly going on to the cash account. All right, I'm good with this. So now let's jump into our favorite module, the accounting, to see other stuff that have been generated during our day. So first, let's review a little bit what happens on the sales side. So there we've got the invoice that we've generated a few minutes ago for Deleuze in our point of sale. So we can see it has been generated, it has been posted, and the status is directly being set as paid because the customer directly paid it by card at the counter of the bar. So we have nothing else to do. But since the guy there were a little bit drunk, I don't really trust them to give the invoice to the accountant, so I will still send the invoice. And here I will send it by email, so you can see that when I click on the send button, an email template is automatically generated with the PDF and the XML file. And here I will also send it to Deleuze via PayPal. So since Odoo is now integrated with PayPal, I can directly send it to the PayPal network by ticking that checkbox and clicking on send, and then Deleuze will receive it on the PayPal network automatically. So now I just have to press on send, and we can see here in the chatter that the mail has been sent, just there with 2 PDF. Okay, that's good. Let's jump on the other sale invoice. So here we've got the sale invoice for Jean-Daniel. Okay, here a little banner that explains us we have an error with PayPal. That's not an issue because Jean-Daniel is a customer, an individual customer, it's not a company, so there's no issue here. And as you can see here, again, the invoice has been automatically generated, it has been automatically posted, and it's now in payment because we know that the customer has done the payment via Stripe on the website. That's good. We have basically nothing else to do. We can just here note that the VAT here is at 20%. Remember that Royal Elixir is located in Belgium, so the default VAT rate is 21%. But since Jean-Daniel lives in France, that it's an individual customer, it's not a company, Odoo has automatically detected that based on those 2 criteria, the fiscal position on the invoice should have been adapted and set to OSS B2C France, meaning that the VAT rate goes and went actually automatically from 21% to 20%. That's automatic. I have nothing to do. Maybe one last check to do. Here, as a new feature on Odoo 19, we have now the ability to review the invoices. So invoices that are generated by someone who has a user who has the invoicing status, that is not a real accountant, when someone like this posts an invoice, the accountant has the ability to review the invoice. So first the invoice will be set on the status to review, like this, all right? And when the accountant has checked it, you can just simply select it, or even select multiple invoice to review, click on action, and review entries, and automatically the status has disappeared. Now we are sure that the invoice is okay. So I'll get back on my accounting dashboard. Let's now check what happened on the purchase side. All right, so here I can see one bill coming from Malterie des Ardennes in blue, meaning that it's in the draft status. And if you remember well, Malterie des Ardennes was the supplier to which we purchase all component for the fabrication of our blonde beer kegs. So we've got here all three products, the malt, the yeast and the hop. That's perfect. And just before confirming this invoice, let's match it to the purchase order, so we are okay with the follow-up of this order. For this, I can click on my smart button purchase matching there and select all my three bill lines and select all three purchase order lines as well. I can do a quick visual check. I can see that the quantity match between those lines, that the product match as well. So we are good. And now I can click on match. Odoo does the matching, and when we come back on the invoice, we see that we have now the link with the purchase order. I think we are good there, so I can confirm my bill. And what's also interesting now, it is that when I go on to the other info tab, I can see that my invoice is in the status should be paid. So this is related to what we call in Odoo the three-way matching. So the three-way matching is actually Odoo that checks if the quantity that we order match the quantity that we have received and the quantity that has been built. Since Odoo does these three checks and that is okay, well, the status should be paid goes on to yes automatically. So I can go back onto the list of my bills, and you can see here that we have still a few bills to pay, and I can even filter on the bills that should be paid. And now I can select all those bills that I need to pay to create the payment file. Here I'll just unselect this one because I do not agree with what the supplier sent me. So now let's click on pay. The payment method will be the SEPA credit transfer. Alright, I create all my 5 payments, and I can select those 5 payments and include them in a batch payment. So for this, I just select my payments, create batch. They are all included now in the batch. I can review them, review the amount, review the memo. Everything seems fine to me. So now I validate my batch payment, and here automatically an XML file has been generated in the chatter, meaning that here I got my payment file. I can download it on my computer and then send it to my bank, or even send it to my payment software, and then automatically the money will be transferred from my bank account to the bank account of my supplier. Even better, I can even initiate the payment directly from my Odoo database, meaning that if I click on this little initiate payment button, the payment file will be automatically transferred to my bank, and there again transfer will be automatically done, so I have nothing to do but just click on this button. Alright, so now let's go back onto the accounting dashboard and let's open our Stripe journal. So if you remember well, Stripe was the integrator on our website that helped the customer pay via their MasterCard or their Visa all their orders. So Stripe is the integrator, meaning that the money from the website orders are received on my Stripe account. Stripe takes at this moment a small commission, and then every 3 days, Stripe do a payout, meaning that it takes all the money on the Stripe account and transfer it to my bank account. Okay, so here my Stripe account is automatically synchronized with my Odoo accounting. meaning that all the transactions are automatically received in my bank dashboard. So here we can see the new reconciliation dashboard that is much cleaner and much simpler to use. So we've got the list of all of our transactions. We've got the date, the label, the customer or the supplier, the amount on the right, and here Odoo, based on what it detects on the amount, the partner, the label, it proposes an action to do. Basically, here it knows that it is a Stripe order in the Stripe journal, so it proposed to create a specific line to encode the Stripe fees. So the Stripe fees are just generated there, and now we can complete the reconciliation by clicking on the Reconcile button, and Odoo knows that there is only one open invoice for Jean-Daniel that I can select there, input. All right, now the payment is fully reconciled. That's perfect. And here I can even now create a manual entry for the Stripe payout, just to show you. So basically I can set that the label is Stripe payout, that we empty the Stripe account, 1,247.41 euros. All right, and now if I add and close this, well, automatically the Stripe payout has been reconciled to my Stripe internal transfer, because here again Odoo detects that it is a payout, so it should go directly in this specific account. That's perfect. So now let's go back on our accounting dashboard and let's check the bank journal. So let's open it. Here I can create my Stripe payout again, just to show you. And here again, when I add the transaction, it's automatically reconciled to my Stripe internal transfer. Here we see the SEPA batch payment that we have just generated a few minutes ago. So actually, since it's a batch payment, I can directly point this transaction to the batch payment I've created, instead of pointing the payment to the multiple bills that have been paid. So here I just have to select my batch. Automatically it's reconciled, and Odoo brings all 5 bills that were included in this batch payment. So now if I open one of the bill, we can see that it is in the paid status. That's perfect. All right, so now I finished to do my bank reconciliation. So let's see what happened in our stock valuation. And for this, there is a totally new feature for Odoo 19. Okay, this is in the new menu review, and there is now a dedicated inventory valuation report in this menu that we can open there. Okay, so here we see very interesting elements. We first see the initial balance. So this is the balance that we currently find in the accounting for all the stock accounts. So it's about 7,500. We have also the ending stock, which is a little bit higher, and the ending stock is basically the current inventory valuation we've got in our inventory module. So basically, this is the quantities, all the products quantities multiplied by their unit costs. So there is about 1,300 euros difference between the initial balance and the ending stock. So Odoo proposed me here to create one journal entry to adjust this and to post the difference in my stock account. So to generate this entry, I can click on the top left button there. So let's click there, and you see here automatically the journal entry is created. It debits my stock, it credits my counterpart account, it's posted on the right journal, the inventory valuation, with the stock closing reference. So now we are good, and I can post it, and now our stock is fully up to date at the end of the day. We could have also generated this entry automatically, and to have this entry generated every day or every month. So now guys, last thing to do before closing our session, it is the tax closing. For this, we have the tax return, which is a new journal that is present, that is there by default on each Odoo database as per Odoo 19. So this tax return journal allows us to easily handle all the tax declaration that we have to fulfill. For this, I can click on the purple button, and here I arrive on the totally new dashboard that basically regroups per month all the tax declaration, all the tax return that I must fulfill and send to the different authorities. So you see here that I have 2 declarations for the month of August, OSS import and VAT. For September, I've got OSS, I've got advance payment of the corporate tax for Belgium. I've got my VAT of September as well. So basically, there's not only the VAT declaration, but the OSS declaration, EC sales list, partner listing, intrastat, and so on. So here, I'll go on to the VAT of August 2025. We can see that the deadline is by tomorrow. So I must really now fulfill the declaration and post it if I don't want to have any problem with the Belgian administration. By clicking on the declaration, I arrive there with a list of activities that must be done before fulfilling the tax return. And basically there are already a few activities that have been generated and reviewed automatically. So here basically we don't have any draft entries regarding invoices and bills. Everything is posted, that's perfect. We don't have any negative amount in the VAT declaration, that's perfect as well. But here we have 2 things that seems to be abnormal. We miss the company data there, so I can just click and complete my phone number, which is missing. Okay, now I can save it, and it's the status now is updated. And there I also have an issue because it seems that I miss some attachment, some PDF attachment for my supplier bills. If I click there, I can see all the bills that are concerned by this issue. But since I'm a bit in a hurry, I will just skip this part and just check manually this activity. And now, since everything is reviewed, well, we can now validate the VAT declaration. So let's click there. Odoo asks us if we want to lock our period. So basically, since we are fulfilling the declaration for the month of August, we must lock the period. Otherwise, we must have some issues if we receive some supplier bill, for instance, that are dated from the month of August, that could impact our period if it's not locked. So let's lock it. All right. Here Odoo tells us that we must receive 2,500 euros for the Belgian administration. That's perfect. You can see here on the all 3 steps that must be fulfilled that the first one is green. So the review part is now done. I can proceed to the next step, which is submitting the declaration. For this, I can click on submit. And there, since I'm working on the Belgian localization, Odoo writes down a specific process for this. So first I can download the XML file containing my tax declaration, and then I can log into Intervat, post the declaration, and then the process is totally finished. I can mark it as submitted, and here, since I must receive money from the Belgian administration, well, the pay status is now okay as well. So now we are okay to go. We have finished our full day of work. We have completed all our business operation. We have done the accounting as well. We have done our closing. So now we can end our day of work. So to wrap up this presentation, we can affirm that Odoo accounting is a well synchronized tool. On just a few clicks, on one site, we went from an e-commerce sale to a purchase order and a manufacturing order. And on the other side, our bar is totally fully managed. orders are processed, and payments are checked in as well. And then everything transforms naturally. So all those business activities transforms naturally into accounting records. So the sales and purchase became invoices, manufacturing orders and logistics impacts our stock valuation, the invoice and bills fulfill our tax declaration, and the payments were automatically brought in our bank journal thanks to the bank synchronization. Okay, so to conclude this, if you are looking for one and only one software that can handle your daily work to maximize your business synergies, and that have also your business operation feeding your legal and financial statement, then Odoo is the solution you are looking for. Thank you very much for listening to me, and if you have any question, you can there again scan the QR code, access the pad and write down your question. Thank you very much.
Test. Thanks for this talk, Ramo. It was really good. I mean, accounting isn't my strong suit, but I really enjoy it, so that's cool.
Thank you very much.
I have a first question here. So, is there a report to justify the stock valuation, meaning to freeze the valuation and explain it?
So yeah, basically now we have a new dedicated report for handling the stock valuation. So this report, I've showed this report a few minutes ago. So basically, this report will help us keep our stock up to date, based on the inventory operation we have done. So, for instance, received some article, doing some deliveries, doing some production. All of those operations impact our inventory module, and then we can update the stock accounts thanks to this report and freeze our stock account up to the reality of the business.
Okay, and is it possible to find the same valuation in inventory? I mean, the same day or 2 months later?
So yeah, basically the idea now is to have the accounting being very synchronized with what we find in the stock valuation. So I haven't showed it here, but we can go into the inventory as well. We can find for each one of our products their valuation. We can even update their cost if it's necessary. We can now backdate the valuation, meaning that even if I confirm a transfer, if I confirm a delivery, let's say the 3rd of January, I can change the date to set it on the 27th of December if I forgot to validate it at that moment. So yeah, now the idea is to have the stock valuation in the inventory module being in accordance with what we can find in our accounting books.
Okay, and you got a postscriptum that your family name is really beautiful. I don't know who wrote it, but that's all right.
Thank you very much.
Second question, can we book stock valuation immediately? Analytically, sorry. So can we book stock valuation analytically?
That's a good question. I'm not sure about it. If you want, we can discuss it on the accounting booth. Maybe not this afternoon because the day is nearly finished, but tomorrow we'll be able to check that more in depth.
All right, and you talked about spritz and beers during your presentation. And
yeah.
For you, what's the perfect amount of Aperol in a spritz?
The perfect amount of Aperol, I would say between 8 to 10 centiliters, yeah.
Okay, that's fantastic, thank you. And that's all for the questions.
Thank you very much, Charlie.